Hey, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Scott Luton and Kevin L. Jackson with you here on
Hello,
Supply Chain
hello.
Now. Kevin, how you doing today?
It is a grand Monday morning. I looked out and it was freaking August. I know, it's August 14th. It's been like almost 2 weeks of August, but it just happened, man. Didn't it just happen? Where did the summer go? People in school. I mean,
Mm,
you guys have been in school for 2 weeks. I think here up in Virginia, it just starts this week.
yeah,
It's amazing.
it is. Well, if y'all lost summer and don't know where it went, we caught it down here for you because it is hot, hot, hot. And hey, if y'all can't tell, Kevin is raring to go. I didn't get a chance to welcome everybody to today's live stream. As y'all can tell, it's a special edition of the Supply Chain Buzz. It's the Digital Transformers edition of the Buzz today. Kevin, this is one of our favorite conversations on the second Monday of each month, right?
Yes, absolutely. I can't wait. I mean, it's on my calendar every month, man. I got to do this more often.
We go through your agent every month to make sure you're back from your world tour. But hey, folks, we're going to be discussing a variety of news and developments here across global business, and with an extra helping of all things technology today for sure. We want to hear from you though, so give us your take in the comments throughout the show. We'll be sharing those and commenting on those. And hey, if you're listening to the podcast replay, you ought to consider joining us live on LinkedIn or YouTube or some other social media channel of your choosing. We're live every Monday at 12 noon Eastern time, which, Kevin, I think right now is 6 p.m. Central European time. Does that sound right?
Yes, that's right. But wait a second. I think that it did have daylight savings in Central Europe too.
Well,
So
you know what?
maybe five.
Okay. Well, let's ask the experts. So I met,
We got people in Europe on the line, don't
that's
we?
right. I met Kia in Cape Town at the SAPIX conference. Great to see you. And she says she is ready to shed off for the winter. Uh, and so let's
That's
see.
right. Some people in winter right now, aren't they?
Evan's confirming for us via YouTube. So yes, it's just after 6 p.m. Central European Standard Time, and Evan is in Germany. How do you say that? Ruttlingen? Kevin, do you see that?
Oh
Ruttlingen?
yeah, I said Rudligan, I
Okay.
guess.
Well,
Uh,
welcome, Evan. Vishnu from India and Saleh from Jordan. Great to see you all via LinkedIn, except Evan is on YouTube. Okay.
I really love this international flavor. Our audience, I mean, this is awesome. Thank you.
Definitely the brightest audience in all the globe. I should say. I almost said the land, but
Hmm.
it's the globe. It's
It's the
bigger than
globe.
the land. Hey, and our dear friend Alan Jacques from Canada is back with us here today. Great to see you, Alan. Looking forward to collaborating with you again soon. And Greg is back from Milwaukee,
Oh, another
Wisconsin.
country, Wisconsin.
Kevin, you ever been to Milwaukee?
Oh, I had been in Milwaukee.
Yeah.
I've, you know, home of the Brewers, right?
That's right. Home of the former home of the Atlanta of the Braves franchise. Of course, the Braves were in Boston, and then Milwaukee, and then Atlanta, and still the Braves are the only franchise to win a World Series in 3 different cities. How about that, Kevin?
That's amazing. You're trying to, I see the transition. I see the transit. Don't go there.
So, with that said, perfect segue. With that said, folks, Kevin and I, and really the whole team here at Digital Transformers and Supply Chain Now, we're here to offer up resources to help you in your journey ahead. And Kevin, I want to share my
Mhm.
screen here, and we're going to talk about the, with that said, digital newsletter that we dropped over the weekend. Now, Kevin, are you as big of a manufacturing fan as I am?
You got to, in order to buy stuff, someone has to manufacture it. And since I like buying, of course.
Well, I'm a big manufacturing fan. In fact, I wish I had discovered it much earlier in life. I made it all through high school and college,
Uh-huh.
and out of the Air Force before I ever set foot in a manufacturing plant, Kevin. And had that been different, I believe, had I gotten a student tour back when I was in middle school or high school, I think my whole career path would have been different. I love the manufacturing industry. So, Kevin, did you know, and we'll talk about it more on With That Said, but Manufacturing Day, which is a day set aside for probably the last 10 or 11 years to really lift up and amplify what goes on in the manufacturing industry. That is October 6th every year. Did you know that?
No, that's coming up here soon. We got to go out and manufacture something. Oh, maybe what we should do is dress up like a manufacturing line, right? Supply.
Absolutely. Let's do it all. Let's
What's
do it
your
all.
favorite product? Yeah.
But the cool thing is, we want to give folks lots of lead time to get prepared. First off, to become aware of Manufacturing Day and all the, I mean, there's a slew of events, really probably across the globe, but certainly across the country here in the U.S. And so y'all check out. With That Said, we dive into that, some manufacturing factoids and some other things. So check that out and be ready, Kevin, for all of you out there. Be ready to strike up the band, the parades, whatever it takes to really celebrate all the wonderful people that make up the manufacturing industry. Kevin, your last word here, and we're going to move on.
Yeah, my last word is on Manufacturing Day, are all the assembly lines shut down? That's a problem.
That is an excellent question. Well, kidding aside, what I do know happens, and one of the reasons they've got to keep those lines going is they have hundreds of plant tours. In fact, our dear friend Allison Krejci Giddens, who is a special co-host here and who leads a manufacturing operation in Metro Atlanta, she loves bringing students in and get put their eyes and ears on what a production environment is like. We need to do more of that, don't we, Kevin?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, bringing the students, college, high school, even elementary, into the environment, real life environment, so they can actually envision what they can do in this world, how they can contribute to society. All that is critical. I was so happy when they do the, Bring Your Child to Work Day.
Yes.
I think, a lot of children really don't know what their parents do, or how they don't see how their parents link to the rest of society. I think that's all critical. It's part of your learning.
Absolutely, Kevin. And you know what? It's been proven time and time again, anecdotally and through research, that the younger generations, they want to see the system level, where they fit in, where they contribute, where they can move the needle, and how it all rolls up into the greater strategy and the greater system.
Absolutely.
So excellent point, Kevin. So folks, we dropped the link again to With That Said. Check it out. If you haven't subscribed, be sure to do that. We release this newsletter usually every weekend, either Saturday or Sunday, because we like flexibility, Kevin. Our team loves flexibility. All right. Speaking of resources, one more thing to share with y'all. Wednesday, 12 noon Eastern time, which is 6 p.m. Central European time. See that, Kevin? We learn and apply. Learn and apply. Folks,
that's good.
We're going to be diving into TCU, Texas Christian University's working capital report. So Dr. Morgan Swink is going to join us. Dan Reeve has been doing big things in the technology space, especially in supply chain, with our friends at Esker, is going to join us. And we're going to offer up the data and the research and the to-dos that you've got to take away, the actionable insights you got to take away from the research. Kevin, have you got your working capital in a headlock?
No, it got me in a headlock. I mean,
I don't believe that.
Here I'm doing airing my dirty laundry. Capital is a good thing, except when you don't have it.
That is right. That is right. And you know what? It's loosening. It's loosening. I read the other day, Kevin, kidding aside, that after a plethora of investments and deal making, especially in the supply chain startup space, that there was a tightening going on, but we're starting to see some signs that tightening is loosening a little bit. So lots more deals, lots more working capital out there. And Kevin, I'm sure you'll have yours in a headlock very, very soon.
I'm going to be on that webinar. That's that live stream.
Okay.
You're learning something.
Hopefully all of y'all will be. It's I promise you it'll be a well spent investment of an hour on Wednesday. And we dropped the link here. Y'all can check out the easy link to sign up and register so you don't miss it. Hey, T Squared is holding down Fort Force on YouTube. And he says, Kevin, a tour of a plant is a great ground zero to seeing how it's made. I love the pun there.
Yes.
That's an excellent show too, Kevin. Have you ever seen How It's Made?
I look at it all the time.
It
I
is
tell you,
fast.
you learn so much.
And you know what? It really, every time I see it, I was just watching it over the weekend, and they were bending steel, and I forgot what they were making, but there is as much artistry in the manufacturing space as there is engineering and technical know-how. It's just amazing what folks in the global manufacturing industry can figure out day in and day out, huh?
Yeah, I was looking at a show. It wasn't How Things Are Made, but it was a how food changed the world or something like that. And
Okay.
it wasn't food. Well, yeah, it was talking about how the shaving blades were created in the battle between Gillette and Schick.
Interesting. You know, every time I hear Gillette, I think about the razor and razor blade business model. You know, it's really interesting. Y'all look that up. And
they were talking about how it took him 10 years to figure out how to get a blade thin enough so that it could be disposable. Because think about it, this was a manufacturing thing, right? It had to be cheap enough so you can throw it away. And it had to be thin enough so you could actually shave, because they wanted to get rid of the time it took to actually sharpen the blades every time.
That's right.
And that balance between costs low enough so you can throw it away and thin enough so you didn't use enough material. You had less material so it could be usable. Those are fascinating, balances of business.
It is fascinating, and these days you got a razor with like 7 or 8 blades on it. So
right, exactly. You wonder.
But really quick, and Kevin, I know you can relate to this to some degree, although you were an officer and I was enlisted. In basic training, when I first arrived in San Antonio, really hot San Antonio back in 1994, the first thing they told us to do, put your stuff down and get in that bathroom and take off every hair off your face. And they were breathing, the NTIs were breathing down our neck and all. And so I had a Gillette sensor, I think, a little 2-blade thing, right? And I was trying to rush really quick, and the razor came off the handle, right? And it broke. And I had to finish my razor, my shave, holding the 2 blades. And Kevin, I'm ashamed to say I took off a corner of my lip. But I was not going to let those training instructors down. So as I jumped back in formation, I had blood coming down my mouth.
You're sucking your own blood, right?
Yes, I'm glad no social media was around back then. But all right, so we got to get into. We got 3 or 4.
Hey, before you go, you were yelling, doing a shout out to people. I want to do a shout out to Marone Susi in Morocco.
Okay.
Because you said hot, and that reminded me of the time I was in Rabat, Morocco. I was on I did a century ride on a bicycle in the middle of the summer in Morocco. But I just wanted to do a shout out. It was a beautiful ride. I really enjoyed it.
I'm jealous.
And it's been a while since I've been back to Morocco, but it's great to see someone from Morocco on the line.
I completely agree. And one more shout out. Hey, Karak Jose, the one and only. Look at that Hollywood GQ headshot there. Karak says, you guys are the best. If you don't know how it's made, you can't sell it, and you definitely can't build a supply chain to make it. Man, Shakespearean. Well said, Karak. I'm looking forward to your that top 10 list that you and I were chatting about on LinkedIn earlier. Okay, so Kevin, we got to get to work. We're having way too much fun. And I want to start with this first story here today from our friends over at Food Safety Magazine. Now, more and more business leaders in the food industry are leaning on digital transformation to enable more accountability, traceability, and visibility, all the abilities in the food supply chain. Kevin, tell us more.
Well, first of all, I'd like to highlight the fact that I use food every day.
True expert.
I don't know about you, but I'm an expert on food. And food safety in supply chain is of utmost importance to me. If I'm with you. And as food products change hands from raw material to finished product, it goes through several touch points like production, transportation, storage, packaging, and this really increases the risk of contamination and fraudulent activities, right? And the more complex the supply chain, the higher the probability of such risk. And we don't just get our food from our garden in our backyard, right? Or from the town or the farmer in our local, region. This is an international, supply chain of food. And to enable higher accountability and traceability in the food supply chain, the U.S. Food and Drug Administration enacted the Foreign Supplier Verification Program via the Food Safety and Modernization Act. This was way back in 2016, not that long ago.
Feels like an eternity ago, doesn't it?
Yeah. But through the FSVP requirements, food importers are liable for their foreign-based suppliers. So if you're in food supply chain, you need to really level up in digital transformation, because the key technologies that are being used to digitize the food supply chain include blockchains, which allow for improved visibility and traceability across supply chains, artificial intelligence and machine learning. They use models to help make sense of these large data streams by helping identify patterns, highlighting critical information, and pinpointing data inaccuracies and duplications. Also, CRM, customer relationship management, and automation software that integrates several information channels to enable effective follow-up on potential leads by profiling customers and suppliers. And finally, robotic process automation, or RPA, which automates data entry that humans typically do. But these record-keeping requirements include data on supplier audits, supplier performance, inventory levels, warehouse temperatures, you got to keep that ice cream cool, and all the incoming material details. So digital transformation is critical to compliance with the Food Safety Modernization Act.
Well said. A couple of quick comments there. You mentioned all the data entry. I saw the other day, I think our friends at RateLink shared this research with us on a webinar, that research shows that there's one error generated for every 9 entry inputs by humans in data entry. Wow.
Jeez.
That is something. So really we got to lean on the massive opportunities. That's nothing new, but has existed for years to get the traceability and visibility we need in the food industry. And as you point out, the governments really across the world are holding food supply chain leaders more and more accountable for their entire ecosystem. I want to share one other. So folks, check out this great article, Food Safety Magazine, that Kevin pointed out and brought to us. So y'all check that out. I want to share a little personal example, Kevin, and look at this. I'm going to make you said you use food every day. So yes, we can all relate.
Try.
But I've heard one Kit Kat a day keeps a doctor away. So I want to share that. So long story short, Amanda and I were in Cape Town back in June at the SAPIX conference. I think I mentioned on the front end. And our kids wanted us to gather them all sorts of local snacks and candies so they could try it when we got home. So we were in the local Woolworths there in Cape Town. And I saw this Kit Kat, which of course we've got in the States. But I noticed this 100% sustainably sourced cocoa labeled up there in the right-hand corner. And I was intrigued. Wow. So Kevin, me and Amanda grabbed a couple of them. And not only were they absolutely more delicious than the U.S. cousin, counterpart or what have you, but they have been leveraging blockchain and other technologies for years as part of their cocoa plan, right? Aptly named, because I think by 2025, Kevin, let me make sure I got this data right. By 2025, the company wants 100% of its cocoa worldwide sustainably sourced. That, when I think of future proofing, when I think of really answering the demands and the expectations of what I'll call the modern day consumer, they don't want modern day slavery or child labor
Mhm.
or non-sustainably produced food products and whatnot. That is a company that gets it. So hats off to our friends over at Nestle. And again, Kevin, if you get a chance, if you're ever in Cape Town, and who knows, it's probably bigger than that, but certainly in
Yeah.
Cape Town, you see a Kit Kat, you better grab it, and you better get 2 or 3 because you're going to have some instant friends right away. Kevin, your thoughts?
Yeah, that highlights the importance of digital transformation to sustainability,
Mm.
right? So that was a great shout out there, and I'm going to get some Kit Kats.
Well, I'm hoping once 2025 rolls around, hopefully we see that in Kit Kats in every single market around the corner. And it's
Yeah.
really cool too. One last comment here, and sorry, I'm nerding out a little bit here, but how cool is it that the outstanding leadership, supply chain leadership in particular at Nestle, and the outcomes they're getting there with this big commitment, all of a sudden it gives sales and marketing outstanding fodder, right, to move
Hmm.
more product, as if Kit Kat needed extra fodder to move product. But I think that's really just a cool example. All right, so let's see here. Hey, Mark Preston tuned in from Peachtree City, Georgia. Kevin, I gotta get you and Mark connected. Mark, we
Okay.
were talking earlier about the manufacturing industry. Mark is a manufacturing guru, in particular, a lean guru, and he's done some big things with. You ever heard of a company called Acuity Brands, Kevin?
Actually, I have. Yeah.
Okay. All
Pretty
right.
interesting.
Mark moved mountains there for quite some time and great friend.
Wow.
All right. So, Kevin, we've got to move to our next story here and check out this graphic. I saw this graphic and I was like, okay, I'm on with Kevin, a former NASA mission expert, and that's what it reminded me. So, in the second story from our friends
Yeah.
over at Supply and Demand Chain Executive, you guessed it, more digital transformation. But this read, Kevin, talks about why many businesses waited for years to kick off their own digitization journey as the markets were, let's call it, a good bit more predictable and stable over the last few decades. But Kevin, tell us more.
Well, if you are a supply chain manager, you realize that your environment has a huge emphasis on increased risk management, regulatory changes, and economic, societal, and geopolitical shocks. Change is constant and change is accelerating in everyone's job, especially if you're in supply chain. As a result, the global supply chain networks continue to undergo digital transformation. In order to overcome these new challenges, they're implementing asset tracking solutions and adopting Industry 4.0 technology, including artificial intelligence, machine learning, and Internet of Things. A core central element on this ongoing effort is to embed digital capabilities throughout the supply chain. And this is asset tracking, or how a company tracks its physical, also digital assets by equipping them with technology solutions like GPS trackers, barcode scanners, and RFIDs. These asset tracking solutions are installed inside trucks, shipping containers, or the asset itself. They give the managers greater supply chain visibility. And at the same time, they are implementing AI, machine learning, and IoT enabled asset tracking solutions into the supply chain to help the enterprises reduce costs. Research from McKinsey found that these early adopters who have successfully implemented AI-enabled supply chain management saw improved inventory cost of 35% and their logistics costs reduced by 15%. AI is also a key enabler of automation, which can help minimize errors and delays, getting rid of that 10% error in data entry, allowing organizations to decrease costs associated with lost supply. So this is critical. And I don't know about you, but we have one of those new, walk-in stores that no people in, and they just scan everything. You put
Right.
it into your basket and you just walk out without going through a cashier. I mean, it's scary. You wonder what they're charging, but that's AI
Price
and
check, price
ML.
check.
Yeah, price check.
Well, I thought when you were saying we've got this new, and I thought you were going to share with us, Kevin, you had one of these powerful satellite dishes in your background. And let's be clear, of course, that this massive satellite has nothing to do with asset tracking. But Kevin, I thought the image was really cool. And it's amazing. It really is amazing what digital transformation
But
is empowering.
those satellites are important to asset tracking, because how you think you're going to be tracking those trucks going down the interstate globally?
Excellent point. Excellent
That's
point.
on the internet, right? And
That's right.
those satellites, that's what those dishes are used for.
That's right. And hey, playing up on your mention of AI and generative AI, which is all the rage, of course, every conversation. Mark says AI is the latest poka-yoke technology or mistake proofing technology. Excellent point, Mark, and love the lean terminology. We need to use.
Poka-yoke, yes.
Yep. Good stuff there, Mark. Okay, Kevin. We want to share a quick blurb with our friends across the globe before we continue on. Folks, we encourage you, join the Now community. So if you like shows like The Buzz, if you like series like Digital Transformers, if you like webinars and live streams and newsletters, you name it, that make you smarter and bring opportunities and resources to you and your journey and your teams, your organizations, hey, join the Now community. It's easy. Our team's going to drop the link here. Big thanks to Amanda and Catherine behind the scenes to help make everything happen. And Kevin, there's like 3 pieces of information that is all we require. And, so Kevin, 3 pieces instead of 10 pieces, I would expect that the error rate comes down quite a bit, right? So
reduce that data entry.
Right. But Kevin, I don't know about you, but sometimes when I add myself to a newsletter or a different resource,
right.
It's like I'm getting audited. It's like 37 pieces of information. They won't know my firstborn and my
and
first
it's all
car.
mandatory.
Right. Right. This is our global community. Our global fam has spoken. They want to make it easy and simple. So y'all check it out here, one click away, and don't miss some of the great resources and shows that we roll out. Okay.
Yeah, one of the things that, as change is constant and change is accelerating, as I said earlier, that's why you need to be part of the Now Network. So
That's right.
Now when things are changing. Now what you need to be successful in your career and in your business. So join the Now community. Now. Right now.
You did it so much better than me. What was I trying? Kevin, you're just a natural. I'll tell you what. So y'all check it out. We'd love to have y'all be a part of some of the things you may just be missing out on. Okay, Kevin, we got a couple other things we're going to walk through here today. I want to start with our next article here. And this is from our friends over at Data IQ. So we're talking about digital value chains and some of the challenges that business leaders are facing there. But Kevin, before you kind of unpack it here, I want to level set just a bit with our listeners in terms of supply chains and value chains. Now, I'm going to try to do this just in a minute or two, but in a small nutshell, the supply chain focuses more on the processes and the logistics to get stuff, right? In its most basic components, think of, plan, source, make, deliver. And Korah, if you're still with us, I know that your top 10 list and events can go way well past that. But in a similar sense, supply chains could be considered a component of the value chain, which is a term that was introduced by Michael Porter back in the 80s. Now value chains focus on all the different ways that a company creates value and competitive advantage to deliver a product and service. Kevin, a value chain includes areas such as human resources, customer service, sales and marketing, product design, everything, again, that creates value and competitive advantage. Now, sometimes folks use supply chain and value chain interchangeably, and there's certainly some similarities, but there are really distinct differences. And I thought that would be helpful context as we move into this next story. So, Kevin, tell us more here.
Well, first of all, I want to thank you for that little information, but it's also important to understand that doesn't apply only, it does not only apply to physical
Right.
assets. You have to really think about your information assets as well. Okay, there is an information supply chain,
No doubt.
and that information supply chain provides value to you and your customers or clients. So, but getting back to the story, supply chain volatility, the macroeconomics and regulatory pressures, hey, you got a theme here, right? Are creating challenges for just about every organization.
Mm,
This is uncertainty that must be managed, and the risks need to be mitigated with an end-to-end view of manufacturing operations and the supply chain. That is why many organizations are investing in digital control towers and digitizing their supply chains. Even when data is digitized, however, it often resides in a variety of systems, not all of them connected. And this could make it very difficult for the managers to understand. And, at any organization, digitalization requires people. You know what I
mm,
always say, if it wasn't for the people, this would be easy. But but you really need people. You need champions who understand the benefits of data-driven transformation and
mm.
are prepared to advocate strongly for it, because you need those leaders, those champions to bring everyone else along to teach us, just like you just did,
Mm.
about the importance of value chains and supply chains. The problem, of course, is that the right people aren't always around, or they're otherwise not in the right position
Mm.
to push for change. So even when a champion exists, the environment may not be supportive of the digital transformation effort. And culture is the most often cited reason for digital transformation failures. So
Wow.
the enterprises that will be best off are those that can develop agility and adapt to the changing external conditions on the fly.
Mm.
The flow of information is rapid in our modern world. So it moves faster and faster every year. So to mitigate supply chain risk, you need to have both a short-term and long-term horizon planning. Every delay in improving a procurement or logistic process
Mm.
imperils resiliency and incurs even more risk, the risk of doing nothing.
Yep. Well said, Kevin. A couple of follow-up thoughts there. And I don't know if this is a true anecdote, and I'm probably going to
Mm,
botch this a little bit, but when you talked about how culture is often cited as one of the biggest culprits of
yeah.
failure, it reminded me of the old anecdote that you and I probably both heard lots of times, where during the Apollo program, as the story goes, President Lyndon Baines Johnson was at a NASA facility, and he stopped by. A custodian had gotten his attention, and he tapped this person on the shoulder and said, "Hey, what do you do here?" And he goes,
Mhm.
"My job is to get an astronaut on that moon." And
Right.
that, I don't know if that's true or not, right? But I think the power is like even if it's not true, the power behind it, it's kind of like a parable, right? The
Yeah.
power
Yeah.
behind it, where every person in the organization, no matter their functional, where they are in whatever functional capacity, where they are on the leadership structure, it doesn't matter. They all know the mission of what they're after, what they're going to do. That speaks, that is one of my favorite anecdotes, and it really displays, Kevin, the power of culture. Your thoughts?
Yeah. I mean, this is the importance of leadership from the top, change from the top. And you have to infuse that into the entire organization. Everybody has to know what the goals are and how what they do every day contribute to that goal. And you can't be successful unless you have a management layer and an executive layer that work together to make sure that that information, that data flows easily, and that you don't have these data silos that separate people within the organization. So that's critical, and that is culture. It is culture.
Well said. And I'll tell you, I would argue, Kevin, I'll see if you agree with me here, that silos have always not been good for business, right? But
right.
silos, in terms of their dangerous, the danger they pose to organizations these days, I think that danger is getting bigger and bigger. Your thoughts, Kevin, on the danger of silos?
Well, now you're talking about having to integrate or interact from a global perspective and with a global perspective. Any industry is inherently global today because of the internet.
Right.
You can go on the a browser, look for any type of product, get it sourced from anywhere in the world, and it's on your at your front door the next day, if not next 2 days. I mean, that is normal today, right? So you are competing against everyone, no matter what you're doing. And the business models are also dramatically changing. Everything is going towards information manipulation model. Okay, those that have more information about the product and the service and the consumers that wanted that product and service are going to be ahead. I saw a show yesterday, actually on CNN. Bobby Flay was interviewing different restaurant owners about how they survived the pandemic. And all of them were talking about how they had to pivot every 10 minutes. They had to understand not only how the marketplace was changing, how their customers were changing, how regulations were changing, but how that affected their own internal processes and their own employees. And all of them really changed their business model on the fly because they had to. I think it said 150,000 restaurants failed.
Wow!
In just in the United States over that 2-year period, because they couldn't adapt, because they couldn't change.
Put future proofing aside for a second. They were trying to present proof and make it,
right.
But what a fascinating time. You're gonna have to share that with me later, because I think, if I think of all the industries that were really hit and double hit and triple hit during the pandemic, the restaurant industry and other services industries were really at the top of the list. That would be a fascinating interview to learn from those that were on the front lines and had to drive those instant pivots just to survive, Kevin. So I'm going to check that out because we could probably all learn a lot, regardless of what your role is and what sector you're in. We could learn a lot from the restaurants that was able to persevere through, right?
Yeah, one particular restaurant was in Louisville, Kentucky, and it launched as a full service restaurant just before the pandemic hit. And they're, like 3 days into the pandemic, their normally crowded restaurant was down to 0. And they quickly shifted to DoorDash. That was their initial savior in order to get their meals to their customers. They actually partnered with a sort of like a Meals on Wheels organization. And they were making the meals in their restaurant, and people were ordering online through the Meals on Wheels to get it delivered. And then they shifted to a sort of outdoors. The city finally let people eat outdoors. So they went down to Home Depot and bought a lot of picnic tables, set them up
Really?
outside.
I
Yeah.
love it.
And people just love the picnic tables, right?
Mm,
And then they still weren't getting back the revenue they needed. So they opened up a bodega
really?
to buy, food stuffs from local farmers.
Mm,
So it was like so that people can come and get local fruits and local vegetables,
love it.
so they could take home and make it themselves, right?
And those
And then,
And those
yeah,
farmers, of course, needed those distribution avenues because a lot of them, were
right.
shelved for a while.
But
So,
the thing about it is that after the pandemic, all four of those new business models grew
yep,
and they
man.
still exist.
All right, so you're gonna have to share that show. That is so fascinating. There's so
Mhm.
much, one of the silver linings here, and we've talked about it time and time again, Kevin. Uh, Not taking anything away from the suffering and all the bad, terrible things that the pandemic brought, but there's always good news if you go looking for it, and the lessons that we have learned and continue to learn from the pandemic as we study that and look for ways of it goes far beyond resiliency. It really goes back
Right.
to future proofing organization, reinventing business models, you name it. And I love the story you shared there. So Kevin, we went all the way around the block and then some, but that's what makes a great show. I got to catch up on a few folks here. Deborah, great to have you join us here today via LinkedIn. Let us know where you're tuned in from. And yeah, hey, digital transformation, that is Kevin's, that's his calling card. That's what the
what I
world knows
do.
him for. That's right. So you can expect a lot more of this. Hey, Mom, Lee Luton from Aiken, South Carolina. You were late today, but that's okay. No demerits, right, Kevin? No demerits.
Mom
Uh,
never gets the merits. We started when she gets here.
That is right. Big Show Bob Bova, going back to silo busting. Bob, great to see you. It's been too long. He says today's silos can be seen as specific areas of expertise in particular disciplines. The overarching digital transformation needs to have a management layer that can identify the best practices that can be shared in the various areas of their companies. That's right, Bob. No islands of excellence, which is so an important, really important comment there. All right. So, Kevin, we are
Oh,
going. Oh, you go ahead.
before you go, I
Yeah.
just want to highlight one thing. This is a live audience.
Yes.
They are interacting with us in real time. We're giving them information in real time. So I'm not, downplaying the importance of on demand. And I
Okay.
really appreciate you if you're here listening to us on demand. But live is better, baby.
That's
Just
right.
saying.
Just saying. I love it. Just saying. That is SAYIN apostrophe. Great point. All right, Kevin. Let's see here. We've got one more topic we want to broach here today. It's as
Okay.
we're starting to come down home stretch. And what that is. So, we have been posing questions in front of hang on a sec.
Uh
Kora says he's
oh.
a deep fake AI. Kevin, man, we got to put some safeguards in place. That would be dangerous. The world only needs one Kora Koze. All
You're
right.
right about that one. But
So what we have been doing as we get into this last topic here today is we've been pulsing our
mhm.
global community, followers, listeners, mom, dad, you name it, right? And really trying to understand a variety of different things between their ears, including Kevin. One fun, simple question that I always enjoy hearing back from people is, what are some of the books that that
Ah,
not just that they're reading? That's not good enough. What are some of the books that have had a profound impact on their journey? So, Kevin, I want to share a couple of here that we've gathered
okay.
over the last month or so of conducting some very simple research. And these are four here. Chip War by Chris Miller probably was told back to us the most. That probably had the most votes. So, of course,
Hmm.
as you might imagine, it's all about the fight for the world's most critical technology and semiconductors. So y'all check that out. Good to Great, which has been around for 20 something years, if I'm not mistaken. I probably read it 20 years ago.
Oh
Kevin, I
yeah,
bet you did
that's
too.
good info. Oh yeah, that's some great information in that. Good to great.
Agreed. No pun intended. And by the way, I like Good to Great much better than Built to Last, which is another popular read amongst others from Jim Collins. So y'all check that out. Shoe Dog. I have not read Shoe Dog by Phil Knight.
Hmm.
Have you seen that, Kevin?
No, I haven't read that one. No, I've heard
So
of it, but I haven't read it.
so all of these had multiple responses, and Chip War was number one again. And then finally, this Getting to Yes,
Yes.
negotiating agreement, negotiating
Yes.
agreement without giving in. Don't give in, Kevin. Don't get in. That had lots of votes. So those four were the books that we heard from our global family. How about you, Kevin? Of course,
Well,
you're
yeah.
you're a well-published and successful author, and we'll touch on maybe a couple of those. But what are a couple of books you want to point out, Kevin?
Well, first of all, I've been doing a lot in cloud computing, and one of the biggest issues about companies that decide to transition to cloud computing now is not a way of doing information technology; it's the way of doing information technology. So, but what they fail to do is link their IT to their economics. So one of the biggest issues that companies have to deal with is cloud FinOps, financial operations. So this is a book from O'Reilly called Cloud FinOps that helps you understand how to modify, change, and update your CFO when they're dealing and operating in a cloud environment. If you don't know how to do this, you're going to fail in your transition to cloud, and you're going to fail in your digital transformation.
And hey, take
a little hint there.
Take Kevin's word to the bank on that. He is the cloud guru. And also, Kevin, quick aside, you had me with the bird on the front cover, as you know, I'm a big bird nerd.
Yeah, they always have these animals on the front of these O'Reilly books.
For suckers like me. All right, so Cloud FinOps is one. I think you've got a second one, right?
Yes. So this was actually a project I participated in, and it's a USA Today and Wall Street Journal bestseller. It's called Quitless. All right. The Power of Persistence in Business and Life. It's an anthology of some of the most successful, diehard, and tirelessly working entrepreneurs in the world. This book actually gives a compelling narrative about the crucial aspect of learning. What is important to pick yourself up when you have a quote failure. You need to dust yourself off and get back into the game. Okay. So each chapter is from a different entrepreneur about their entrepreneurial life, what they learned in business, not only in business, but how it affected their personal life. And I did a chapter in this as well. So if you're an artist or a teacher or programmer or entrepreneur, okay, this really will set you up for continued success. Quitless.
Love it. And of course, you got to be quitless to make it in global supply chain as well.
Yes.
So practitioners out there, pick up that book. We dropped the link to that book as well there in the chat. Y'all check it out. Let's see here. Catherine said, never split the difference. That she read it as a family book club. I love that, Catherine. Vanessa says, Upstream by Dan Heath is great for quick stories of improvements across industries. That's right up my alley. It sounds like a very practical read, Vanessa. Thank you for sharing. I'm going to share a couple. So I've got a lot of books behind me. I'm just going to say I read all of them. Wink, wink.
So Kevin, you read the cover of all of them. Yes,
that's right. You're too quick for me. Got some of Kevin's, but I want to point out two others. Our dear friend Theodore Lau, Kevin, she's joining us in
Theodore,
October.
Yes.
This is a great read. It's her and Bradley Leamer, Beyond Good: How Technology is Leading a Purpose-Driven Business Revolution. Y'all check that out. And Kevin, our dear friend here that we've collaborated with, Billy Ray Taylor.
Yes, Billy Ray. Yes,
The Winning Link.
That's
and this is it is a great book, and it really, as I mentioned a minute ago, I'm a very practical person. I love really good practical books with examples and outcomes and great stories. And I'll tell you, in particular, The Winning Link. If Billy Ray does anything, it's tell outstanding stories that have morals. A lot of them have his mother, which I love. But y'all check out The Winning Link. It really documents his journey of doing big things for Goodyear. All right. So, Kevin, we have, run the gamut here today. Really quick, I want to make sure, and folks, we'd love to get the rest of y'all's any other recommendations. I want to recap the 4 books we talked about a second ago: Chip Orr, Good to Great, Shoe Dog, Getting to Yes. And then, Kevin, if you share those 2 titles that you just, I know Quitless was one. What was that first title?
Yeah, Cloud FinOps, and Quitless.
Quitless. And take that, especially in that first one, take that from the leader that wrote the book on all things cloud. One of your most popular books that you wrote. Kevin, speaking of books that you wrote, I think we can let a little birdie out, right? A little secret out here, because you're working on your next book already. Can you share anything that it might touch on?
Yes, absolutely. I'm actually doing a study guide. It's maybe kind of boring to some of you, but the Certified Cloud Security Professional is the #1 non-vendor specific cloud certification in the world. I was lucky enough to be part of the team over at ISC Squared to put that certification together. And I am now working on a study guide for those that want to get the CCSP certification to move yourself up in your professional career. It's been referred to as the graduate level cloud computing training is that CCSP certification. I expect that to be out by spring of next year.
Okay. Awesome. Hey, that's above my pay grade though. So don't give me any quizzes on certified cloud technology, but kidding aside, it's where we are. And really, I'm not gonna say we're just getting started, but there's a lot more of it to come. So you learn from the best and the true experts and practitioners, and Kevin certainly fits all of that. Kevin, we have a really full episode of the Buzz here today, a special Digital Transformers edition of the Supply Chain Buzz here today.
We've done a lot.
We have, really. I mean, from some of the stories and some of the developments out there to some great books and resources for folks. Before we call it a day here, let's make sure folks know, of course, they can find Digital Transformers with Kevin L. Jackson wherever they get their podcast from. You can check them on social media and you name it. But Kevin, go ahead.
Yeah, while you're talking about that, our show that we're going to be releasing later this month. I mean, we're talking about food today. How many of you have heard of PIM brands?
Okay, I think I have.
PIM brands. You familiar? So some of the brands from PIM brands includes the Welch's Juicefuls and Fruit Rolls. How about the Slice? That's from PIM brand.
The drink?
The original, no, it's candy.
Oh, okay.
Slice the candy. The original gummy fun mix. So you like gummies. Sun-made, we talked a little bit about chocolate earlier. Sun-made chocolate raisins.
Love them.
Come from PIM brand. Sour Jacks come from PIM
I'm sure
brand.
my kids know those, no doubt.
Tuxedos, milk chocolate almonds. So I'm going to have on the show the head of marketing for PIM brands. And he's going to tell us how they use SAP to manage their resources across the entire company globally. So you can check that out. We released that on the last Monday of the month.
Well, hey, sign me up, Kevin. But more importantly, or at least equally as importantly, do we get samples of all those delicious snacks? We demand.
Yes, absolutely. Samples. We collect all the information, the downloads.
Love it. Love it.
Yeah.
All right. So y'all check that out.
We run a contest.
Seriously, the winner gets all the chocolate covered raisins they can stand to eat over the rest of the year. All right. Kevin L. Jackson, as Co-Ra says here, great insights, and one buzz to remember. Great job, Kevin L. Jackson and Scott Luton.
Thank you
On
very
fire.
much.
Yeah, Kora, I appreciate what you're doing. And folks, check out Kora across LinkedIn. He's putting on some great audio live, because as Kevin says, live is better. Great
Live
audio,
is better, babe.
interactive, inclusive conversations on the state of global supply chain. And T Squared throws in 2-Second Advantage by Vivek Ranadiv. Is a good one. I bet I'm going to check that out. We'll add that to the list. T Squared. Great to have you here as always. Okay, Kevin. Thank you for being here today. Really appreciate all the light bulbs that you're causing, the digital light bulbs that you're causing to go on as you continue your mission to educate and inspire and help folks innovate and find real opportunities here in the cloud era. Right, Kevin?
No, this is fun. I really enjoyed it, and the feedback I keep getting is tremendous. Thank you very much. I really enjoy interacting and responding. So you can catch me on Twitter at Kevin Jackson or on LinkedIn. So don't be shy.
Don't be shy. And if y'all can't tell, Kevin loves to share, loves to have fun while comparing notes. He incredibly bright, as I mentioned. I have a good time talking about Kevin's days supporting NASA missions. That says all you need to know. So check him out across social and certainly digital transformers. Hey, Steve, appreciate that feedback. Steve says, thanks. Totally enjoyed the show via LinkedIn. Thank you, Steve. Really appreciate it. And hope you won't be a stranger and you'll see us next time. Speaking of next time, first off, thanks, of course, to Kevin. Thanks to all the folks that came out. I know we couldn't hit all the comments and all the different questions. Big thanks to, again, Catherine and Amanda behind the scenes helping to make production happen. Folks,
yes, thank you.
Whatever you do, take something Kevin shared here today. Take something that was in the comments. Take something we talked about here today. Put it in action. Put it in that headlock that we had a little fun with earlier today. Deeds, not words. On that note, on behalf of me and the whole team here at Supply Chain Now and Digital Transformers, Scott Luton challenging you to do good, to give forward, and to be the change. We'll see you next time right back here at Supply Chain Now. Thanks, everybody.
Hey, bye.